Hey everybody, Chris Webster here from Team Black and Dig Tech LLC, and also the Archaeology Podcast Network, which you might be familiar with. Check those out. First off, if you like this video, please tell people about our Patreon page. The more people we get over there, the more videos I can afford to put up. I mean, that's basically all there is to it. So let's get into this though and see what we're going to talk about. So this is a job transition webinar, and it doesn't have to be a permanent job transition webinar. It can just be a temporary job transition. You know what I mean? Like for seasonal work. So let's say you've got a job over the summer doing archaeology and maybe into the fall, but then at some point during the late fall, early winter, you have to transition to a completely different field, and you don't know how to take those skills and move those into the new field. And a lot of people think, well, I'm trained for nothing except archaeology. You know, what is surveying in the desert or digging square or round holes in the ground do for me in the real world? So let's talk about that. What we're going to cover is your current skills and then translating those skills into something that is usable. Interviewing, or talk about getting an interview, having an interview, what you should do in an interview. And then I have your questions on here, and you can email me, Chris at, and I'm going to use my APN address, so Chris at archaeologypodcastnetwork.com or Chris Webster at digtech-llc.com with questions. So a little bit about me first. Again, my name is Chris Webster. I have a Master of Science in Archaeological Resource Management, and I'm an RPA. So I was in the U.S. Navy from 1993 to 1997. And honestly, when I got out of the Navy, in fact, right before I got out of the Navy, I went through an entire week-long course on transitioning from military to civilian life. Now, I was only in 4.5 years, so I wasn't like some of those people who went out of high school and went into the Navy and then stayed there for 20 years and honestly didn't really know how to be a civilian. They taught you all kinds of things, but one of the things they taught you was translating your skills. So a lot of what I learned on how to do that came from those U.S. military courses. I have a BA in anthropology from the University of North Dakota, 2005. I did my field school at Olduvai Gorge. Yes, that Olduvai Gorge. It was pretty sweet back in 2005. Tanzania, of course. Then I was this field technician when I got back, mostly on the East Coast, doing shovel testing and excavation. Honestly, my first few years was all excavation, which was crazy. And then from then I got an MS in Archaeological Resource Management, as I mentioned above, from the University of Georgia at Athens in 2010. And then from then I went on to various positions, field tech, crew chief, project manager, 2010 to 2012. And then I formed my own company, Dig Tech LLC, from 2012. Archaeology Podcast Network was formed in 2014. And then Team Black used to be called PCS for various reasons. Buy me a expensive coffee or a bourbon at a conference and I'll tell you all about it. But we started this back in 2015 and it's just getting back going again. So, and then I've been with WildNote from 2018, so handling all your digital data management needs. Some other classes we got up here. I'll just leave this up here for a second because you can always check this out, hit pause and look at those. Okay, so let's talk about your skills. What do you have? I'm just going to let a couple of these flow up onto the screen here. You have pretty strong communication skills. You are able to, at least I hope, speak to other people on your crew, speak to your crew chief. If you're a crew chief, speaking to the project manager. If you're a project manager, dealing with multiple crew chiefs, multiple crews, and landowners, and stakeholders, and clients, and your boss. At all levels, we have to communicate with a lot of different people. So having those strong communication skills is important. And while you think you might not have those, you absolutely do. And you can communicate laterally, but also vertically through your chain of command. Honesty, how many of us have found something at 3 p.m. on the last day of a session and you're on your way back to the truck, right? I mean, everybody's been there. And what do? I hope everybody would sit here and say, yeah, we're going to flag that and come back, or nope, it's the end of the session. We got to work an extra hour, even though we've done 8-10-hour days or something like that. It's time, it's archaeology, and we have to do it. I think because of the work involved in recording something, the honesty level I've seen in archaeology is pretty high. And I think that is a strong skill to highlight and then explain why you put that on there when you have your interview. Technical competency. Again, we're scientists. Even if you're just digging holes in the ground, you might not think you have a lot of high technical skills, but you are drawing profiles, you are analyzing soil, you're analyzing artifacts, and you're writing all these things down in a notebook in a very technical, scientific way. Again, might look like chicken scratch, but to the outside world, that is a high level of technical competency. Not only that, but GPS devices, total stations, all the stuff you may have used, you want to put those things on your resume so when somebody asks you about it, sounds really impressive to describe how these things work and that you can use these things in the field. Work ethic. Again, we have a pretty strong work ethic. How many people do you know out there work 10 days straight without any breaks or longer, and then take 4 days off, 2 of which might be travel, so you really only get 2 days off, and go back and do it all over again and do it year in and year out. So we have a really strong work ethic in this field. Flexibility. Do I need to say even anything about this? I mean, the simple fact that you might get a job and not know where you're going on Tuesday, when you wake up Monday morning, you're just packed and ready to go, ready to drive somewhere halfway across the country, halfway across the state, across the street. Who knows? Where are you staying? What hotel are you staying in? I don't know. Nobody's even told me yet. How about this one? How much are you getting for per diem? People don't ask those questions sometimes. So flexibility is definitely a strong point that we have as archaeologists that we can put on there. That goes right along with determination and persistence, just to keep on going day in and day out, keep that thing going for the long project until the end, find another project and do it all over again. Of course, working on a team is important. There's very few people out there working in isolation by themselves. So they're always working on a team, always working with other people. You have to stay in a line. When somebody's having a struggle getting up the hill, you wait for them at the top and all form up and go on again. If you're camping out for your project, then a lot of times there's teamwork there too. You know, living with people that you worked with all day and then sharing skills, sharing resources, sharing food, and just sharing a good time. Willingness to learn new things. We're always learning new things in archaeology, whether it's just the archaeology of a region or the history of a region before we go there, or, you know, new pieces of technology or something like that. We're always learning something new and adding to our skill sets. You're watching this video, which tells you you have a willingness to learn new things. Problem solving skills. Again, heavy problem solving skills, because we always have to work out, how are we going to get this surveyed in the most efficient way possible? How are we going to decide, I've got a positive shovel test, but then I've got a rock formation over here and a hill over here. What am I going to do, right? Which way do I go to delineate the shovel test? Or on excavations, trying to figure out, okay, you know, I'm hearing this little noise here. I've got to dig around it and do these things. I mean, we're constantly solving problems, and it's a good skill to have. And then, of course, loyalty. People don't put that down because they don't think about it, because it's kind of a bragging thing. But I think it's important to put down because you know, we'll stick a project out to the end, even though it means our unemployment typically, and we got to go find something else. But we just are, you know, committed to seeing that through. Public interaction, again, that goes along with strong communication skills and being able to do that. But talking to your crew members and talking to an angry ranch owner are two different things. And talking to a stakeholder or a client, two very different things, and it's an important skill to highlight. Of course, following instructions at every level of the game, even if you're the one that running the company, you have to learn how to follow instructions. I mean, the instructions might be from the BLM, the instructions might be from the contract from the client that says, hey, we do these things, or the instructions might just be from the agency. They're not even running the show, but from the agency that says we have to do these things. So following instructions at every step of the way is crucial. Of course, project management. We have high project management skills. I mean, you might not even be a project manager, but you've got to manage certain things about the project at any level, right? You might be just managing your own paperwork and making sure all that gets filled out correctly and turned into your field crew chief or project director or field director, whatever they call them, at the end of the day. But if you are in the project management area, you're managing people, you're managing assets like vehicles, technical gear, drones, GPSs, whatever the case may be, making sure there's enough paperwork out there if you're still using paper, making sure the tablets are charged, all kinds of things. And then not only that, but making sure you stay on budget, making sure you stay within the right time frame as well, getting that report written and getting it turned in. Leadership, of course, At almost all levels in archaeology, we have to experience different levels of leadership, and we don't always get leadership training, but that doesn't mean we're not exhibiting leadership skills and qualities. So definitely put that down on your resume. Working in adverse weather conditions, I don't even need to go over this one. We've all done it. Driving in basic vehicle maintenance. Again, a lot of people don't know how to change a tire or check the oil in the morning or do a checklist or write down the mileage or all the other things you need to do when you're out remote and you've got a rental or a company vehicle and it's not going to see maintenance for a while. Map reading, again, this is a kind of a no-brainer, but even if you're just reading the Trimble, even if you're just reading a GPS, we still have map reading skills, understanding whether or not you're north up or course up. There's a lot of people that don't have those skills, and map reading shows that you have, again, back to technical competency, a technical skill as well. Orienteering goes along with that, using a compass. Again, it just shows one more thing that you have a skill in that you've learned that you can do. And again, might not have anything to do with the actual job you're trying to get, but shows people that you are willing to learn new things, learn complex tasks, and then put them into practice. And then, of course, analysis. When you get down to the artifact stage, even if you're not in a lab, you're still doing artifact analysis. You're still pulling on a body of knowledge to say, is this thing historic? Is this thing prehistoric? What is it? There's a lot of times here in Nevada that we have to basically do analysis in the field because we're not collecting the item. So we have to do that and make sure we get it right. And then also make sure we take enough photographs and or drawings to make sure that that analysis can change as necessary since we aren't collecting it. So this is a cool one here. I pulled this off the web. Of course, it's dated May 23rd, 2015, but it still is important. Top 10 qualities and skills employers are looking for. And every single one of these is right here. It's right on there. And these are the top 10. You guys already have these. These are the first ones that I went over. And it's just pause this video when I'm done here and read these things and see if these pertain to you, because I think they do. Okay, so how do you find the right language? People don't know what a shovel test is. People don't know what a total station is. Some people might not even know what a GPS is, and people in this industry tend to just call it a Garmin or something like that when they don't really know what you're talking about. So let's figure that out. So looking at job postings, the language of a job post, here's one that says for a consulting project manager, manager, high-level position responsible for a segment within a given project portfolio, which can be defined by industry, service line, technology center, specialty area, or region. Main responsibilities include people management, check. Project oversight, check. Sales enablement, probably doesn't matter. Accountable for operational, financial metrics, and maintaining project portfolio profitability while ensuring quality of project delivery and maintaining customer referenceability. That's a new word. So there's a lot of things in there. And maybe some of those aren't directly applying to you, like sales enablement. I don't even know what that means. Enabling sales? Who knows? So, but just looking at this, start translating some of the terms and things in here with what we just saw. Also notice this has a $100,000 to $148,000 salary, okay? Now, 8 years of experience relevant to this position, including 2 years of project or direct line management experience. Of course, you're not going to have necessarily that, but relevant to this position means that if you've been doing archaeology or project management for 8 years, you might be qualified for this. 2 years of project or direct line management experience. Project management experience. That's all you got to look at right there. Okay, so looking at your field skills. Crew chief can manage a small team of people towards a specific task. This goes back to language. How do we translate these into the words that you need to put on your resume and also the things that you need to look for in your job posting? Technicians can follow instructions and work as part of a team to achieve a common goal. Excavation experience could equal able to negotiate a complex task in a changing environment and make decisions with little or no supervision. Working with landowners and the public, able to interface with customers and clients in a calm and professional manner. Of course. So these are some ways that you can take some of the things from your skills and translate them into phrases that you can put on your resume that match. Now, one thing you can also do is back on that job posting, take some of the things they're specifically looking for and reword these to use the same terms, because they might be running your application or your resume or CV through a word detection algorithm, and is looking for the same words that are keywords within the within the job posting. So if you already have those in there, you'll pop up as somebody who is a possibility for working with them, and they'll probably want more information. So looking at your office skills, how do those translate? Report writing could equal strong word processing and technical writing skills. Seems pretty straightforward. GIS proficiency, able to learn and adapt to complicated software. Isn't that the truth? Site form transcription, and all I have is can use there because you can just use site form transcription, meaning can use complicated software, can use analytical techniques to translate shorthand into longhand, stuff like that. Basic computer skills, seriously, put those down just so you have them, because some people simply don't, but don't forget to put those down. Report research, able to research a complex topic and write a coherent synthesis and analysis. That's pretty huge and translates to a lot of different skills. Here's another one, people skills, working at a company, able to work well with others and help foster a positive working environment. All the buzzwords. Hiring for projects, able to conduct hiring interviews and parse through multiple applications. Working under a project manager or principal investigator, able to work under a supervisor and know when to ask for guidance and when to proceed on your own. Again, it's just about wording these into the keywords and phrases that they're using in the job postings. So let's talk about interviewing. Be early. Plan to be 15 minutes early, okay? Don't be crazy early, because if you do show up, say 30 minutes early, let's say there was no traffic, it was a dream, don't walk into the building. Sit out in your car until about 10 to 15 minutes early, because if you get there too early, somebody might not be ready for you. They don't want you to sit out there. It gets uncomfortable. You have no idea. You don't know what the culture there is like. So don't walk in the door 30 minutes early. But if you plan to be there at least 15 minutes early, then you can have unforeseen circumstances like car accidents and too many red lights and all kind of weather, all kinds of stuff not be a factor in you being late. If you're late, you're done. Right? It just means you didn't plan. It doesn't matter what your excuse is. It means you didn't plan. So unless you got hit by a car and you're in an ambulance, be early, at least 15 minutes early, but don't walk in the door right then. I would walk in the door probably 10 minutes early, maybe 5 to 10 minutes early, because you're sitting out in your car and you're ready to go, maybe going over your questions, maybe going over your answers, things like that. But walk in 5 to 10 minutes early. And another thing you can do, just so you know where you're going, because if you walk in 5 to 10 minutes early, but it turns out you're in the wrong building in a huge complex, or you have to wait to go up an elevator to a floor, if you can, go to the building the day before and figure out the layout. You don't have to tell them you're there for an interview. Just go see what you can see and figure out where you need to go. Also, dress for the job. You don't want to dress for, some sort of high fancy corporate gig when you're actually walking in for a job that wears jeans and a t-shirt. Okay. Dress for the job that you think you're trying to get. If you're looking for a high profile sales job, then you should probably go in wearing a suit, right? But if you're working in Silicon Valley in California, probably jeans and a t-shirt is going to fit for just about anything you're getting, right? Because it's just a more relaxed culture. But if you're in New York City, if you're somewhere else, you just know the culture. Again, it helps to go to the building ahead of time and see how those people are dressed. And you want to dress up a little bit for the job to, I guess, just look like you can put yourself together, but make it one step up rather than 10 steps up. So if it's a jeans and a t-shirts job, maybe wear slacks and a polo. If it's a slacks and a polo job, maybe put on a suit. Okay. If it's a suit job, well, then it's a suit job. Suits are suits. Don't use profanity and don't expect a job at the end of the interview. Again, play to your audience. If your person who's interviewing you is speaking and acting in a certain way, then play off of that. Don't be awkward. Just play off of what they're doing. And again, don't expect to be offered a job at the end of the interview. That's not how it works. That's how it works in archaeology typically. If you're called in or you talk to it all, typically they're just offering you the job because they don't call you otherwise in a lot of cases. Now, these higher end corporate gigs may be, but most archaeology firms, you don't even hear a call back unless you're getting hired. So people expect that when they go to any other regular real world job. But that's not the case. They might be interviewing, like physically interviewing in person, 10, 15, 20, 100 people, depending on the job. Send a thank you card or email after the interview. Write it before you go and send it that day. I mean, even have it in your pocket, right? And then just drop it in the mail on your way out the door or shortly after you leave. That way it gets there as soon as possible. Hopefully they haven't made their decision yet, but at least you get that thank you card off and you get the thank you email off. and they can see that. It just sets you ahead of the rest. Okay, so if you have any questions, again, Chris at archaeologypodcastnetwork.com or Chris Webster at digtech-llc.com, and I'll be happy to answer your questions. Take a look at the other videos that we have, and please share this out so other people can see it. Hopefully Patreon's working out for you. We're going to keep putting videos up, hopefully at least once a week, and then looking for other providers as well. If you're an expert in something, contact me at one of those email addresses and we'll talk.